Oh God. Okay. So at first sight, it might seem that this video is about this guy, but you would be wrong. We're just using this guy as a subject for the stories that people tell themselves. Listen to this.
If I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's a pretty... I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well.
So this guy wants to go to heaven. For him, salvation of his soul is do X, get Y. So this guy got to the conclusion by himself that 7,000 lives mean getting into his heaven. I do not care if heaven is true, but I do care that this guy thought, after all the things that he did, that he could just say, I'm in the bottom of the totem pole, so I am allowed to make a deal with Jesus because I'm a businesswoman of the year, and I decided by myself, without any other type of logic, that going to heaven cost me 7,000 lives that I save per week.
And that's when the woman knew she was dead.
So for him, faith, salvation, forgiveness is just a deal. He wants to exchange 7,000 lives saved for heaven. Oh, but let's listen to this.
I actually got a message just before I went on from the priest who had baptized me, actually, and he said, I really admired what the president said. And he said, basically, you know, if he's able to make peace in Russia and Ukraine, I'll put in a word with a big guy.
So if even anything from this story is true, the so-called priest is treating heaven like he's a bouncer and he knows somebody. It's just favor in, ticket out. But our presenter of the news says this.
Okay, that was pretty cool.
And this shows how politics and how journalism engages with death. All is a negotiation, cute stories, and never addressing the elephant in the room. It's the president. What do you feel guilty about?
That was pretty cool.
Sometimes I think it's helpful to think of this guy as a kid. He was a kid once, and he had needs and desires, and he was looking for affection, he was looking for passion, he was looking to feel safe. According to this person,
grandfather is ultimately the person who did the most damage to Donald because he exploited Donald's weaknesses and he exploited the damage that had been done to him because the defense mechanisms Donald had to utilize in order to protect himself from the loneliness and fear he experienced when his mother was absent from him. He never felt safe. He never felt loved. And
I'm sure he was at one point, just like any of us. You gotta ask yourself, when can we forgive a monster for being a monster? I don't care if heaven is real. I'm not here judging their beliefs, but I am judging their seriousness. If they mean what they say. To let the facts and the consequences of what you say change you. It's a commitment with truth instead of optics. This is seriousness. By this standard, politics could never be serious. In these clips, nobody is actually serious. The president can't engage with his own guilt and his own fear, not in a meaningful way. This guy tries to deflect from engaging with the story with what he considers a cute story. This priest, if even this priest exists, he thinks of himself more as of a bouncer with the right connections to the pearly gates. And this journalist,
That was pretty cool.
she just refuses to do her job and ask the obvious follow-up question. None of this means anything. This is just optics, has nothing to do with spirituality, with religion, or with consciousness. People who say this, they don't mean it. They're not being serious. This is not from a serious person. This is not from somebody who's engaging with a truth, with their faith. He's not even engaging with what he did, with his so-called guilt. He says he's not looking too good. He wants to do good just because he wants to get into heaven, not because he wants to be a good person. He's so far removed from everything, he doesn't even have the intention. He doesn't even know how to speak of the intention. Empathy is now seen as a bad thing. And here's the result. You don't even have empathy to yourself. You don't even know how to deal with your own guilt, with your own dirt. There's no way around it. This guy is suffering. To lose seriousness might have been a choice. Might be an unconscious choice, but it's nonetheless a choice. The question all of these characters ignore: what do you feel guilty about? What was the harm? What was the person? I mean, we know it, but we want to hear you say it. When you cannot name a wrong, you will try to buy forgiveness with gestures, with new enemies, with headlines. But none of this is repentance. Not from him to us, and certainly not from him to himself. This is not repentance. This is holy PR. This stems from having an unexamined life. Unexamined life makes life run in autopilot. You let your habits and your slogans and your little strategies just shape how you behave. And you just let decades of that calcify you into whatever the world pushed you to be. And you never let the story about yourself, to yourself, and to others be interrupted. I know you don't need to always be overanalyzing everything and see trauma in everything. I get it. But if you don't do any of it, you end up like this.
A sign that he's becoming aware in ways he never has been, that he's losing control of the narrative. He may not be as invulnerable as he's convinced himself he is. And I think he's getting a little bit of insight into the fact that he's kind of old and maybe doesn't have the same sway.
Choose this route of always be scheming and wondering and gaming and negotiating. But what a lonely path it is. What a lonely way to be.
Nobody cares about him. And if he weren't such a cruel, despicable person, we could feel bad about him. I mean, bad for him and have some compassion, but he doesn't deserve compassion.
Politics is the sport of winning. It's not the practice of truth. It tells you who to beat, not who to become.
You do not understand.
No. Obviously not.
And death ends this game for all of us. There's no bargaining, there's no press hits, there's no priest with a guest list. If you think the afterlife works exactly like life before death, you're just thinking with the same framework that you think in this plane.
You talk and you say, let me tell you something, and I just want to say this. Well, you're dead now, so shut up.
Dead?
But if there is a reckoning, it won't care about your team, it won't care about your walls and your papers and
everything quite clearly.
your tribe. The problem with the motives is that motives explain, but they do not excuse. With all of this, in the name of guilt and in the name of coping, we all do things that we call it good intentions and we just do more harm. And I think it's time for us to admit that we're not that great.
Didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution.
We're not good people like we think we are.
There's nobody that's done so much for equality as I have.
There is a way out. The only ethic thing I can defend on good days and on bad days. Try to do less harm. Try to reduce the amount of harm on the store, to our brother, to our sister, to our partner. Good causes is what hell is made of.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me.
When you think of yourself the good person, your mind tries to do all these tricks. And there is a cost to a life of tricks.
There is nobody that respects women more than I do.
Nothing comes for free. A lifetime of tricks corrodes your inside. It makes you rotten. Strategies that protect you from shame will one day block you from honesty. There's no separation from the lies that you told outside from the lies you tell inside. All the tricks that you play on the world, you play on yourself too. And this is how we get to ridiculousness of thinking of heaven as a final hustle. 7,000 lives for my place in heaven.
Money in my family has always been the only currency. And I mean that literally, of course, but I also mean that money stood in for all of the other things that most human beings value. It stood in for love, it stood in for affection, and it stood in for your worth as a human being. So the message that was given to my grandfather's 5 children, including Donald and my father, was that the more you have, literally, materially, the more you're worth, and the less you have, the less you're worth.
We need to address the world for what it is. All of us created him. All of us created an environment that created him. Honestly, was it worth it? Was it worth it, this lifetime of just cheating and spreading pain and not being able to connect with anybody? In 50 years, you'll be a little bit in the history books. In 100 years, you'll be a footnote. In 200 years, you'll be a bleep. So will I. You're gonna leave the world because you're old, and the world is angrier, more divided, it has more wars. Families will help break up. Families you're divided. And now you think you can save 7,000 people. That's your strategy. I'll meet you on the other side, because we're all gonna die and nothing really matters. There might not be another side. This might all go to blank, or we might reborn again, or we might go to heaven, or whatever. Either way, I still find some benefit in trying to do good. Nihilism is for cowards. Nihilism is for the weak. This week, they said you disappear. They said you were dying. I don't know if it's true, I don't care. If you do, I'll see you on the other side, dumbass. I hope it was worth it. And I do wonder, before you close your eyes for the final time, what are you going to think? Are you going to be thinking that you did it all wrong? And you chased all of this for nothing? Or are you going to be satisfied because you got to grab them by the pit? No, if you like, comment, and share and subscribe, you will go to heaven. If I got 7,000 likes, maybe I could go to heaven. Thank you for watching. Bye.